everyone, my name is Carson. If you're new here, hello, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. Thank you for joining me on another HMM. I almost added another M. If you don't know what that means, it means History Mystery Monday, where I talk about historical events, people, places, and things, or mysterious phenomenons, ghosts, paranormal, aliens, who knows? Anything I can think of that seems like is mysterious to me. So, if you're new, please subscribe, hit that bell notification, hit the like button on this video, because I make videos every Monday, and occasionally I do make videos on Friday, and that is Florida Friday, where I will be talking about weird titles of news articles, or talking about just not titles, maybe go in more depth about the article, but anything that weird happens in Florida, I will talk about. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in Florida, honestly, especially living here knowing that. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about the last Queen of France, Marie Antoinette. Now, if you don't really know anything about Marie, we're going to get very in-depth, because I know some things about Marie, but not a lot until I did the research on her. But it was very interesting to learn about her and things I knew later on. Because at first when you're in school and you learn about her and learn about Louis, you think, oh, they're probably like in their 40s, yada yada yada. But really, when all of this began, she was really only like in her teens and in her 20s, and was expected to be the Queen of France and know what to do and everything. I'll go into all that later, but yeah. So if you like my makeup in this video, it was inspired by her and her outfits that she would wear and her wigs that she would wear that we'll talk about later. I thought, yeah, this would be a good look to do for it, especially with like the pastels and the little additives. I thought it would be a good idea to do. And if you like this and want to see how I did it, the link to my second channel and this specific video that I made for the makeup will be down below. Socials for that channel will be down below. Also, my socials for this channel will be down below. Also, link to my channel if you want to go watch more videos just like this, be down below as well. Any sources I use will be down there too, if you want to go check that out as well. So, without further ado, let's get in and talk about Marie Antoinette. So let's get into talking about Marie Antoinette. Now, she wasn't actually born Marie Antoinette, she was actually born Marie Antonia Josephine Genet. And she was born in Vienna, Austria on November 2nd, 1755. And when she was born, she immediately became the Archduchess of Austria to the Emperor Francis I as her father, and Empress Maria Theresa, who was her mother. Now, since she was born on November 2nd, I wanted to see what her zodiac sign would be. If you guys don't really care about astrology, it's okay. But I just, in case you care about astrology, I wanted to say it, and I'll probably do it with other people as a heads up. But yeah, so her astrology sign is actually a Scorpio, which I could see that being her sign, honestly, especially what ends up happening later on in her life. But yeah, so if you care about astrology, she was a Scorpio. And if you don't care, let's continue. But Marie was born on All Souls Day. And if you don't know what All Souls Day is, known as a Catholic day of mourning. And because of her being born on the day of mourning, her birthday, like during her childhood, was actually celebrated the day before, because conflicts obviously would occur. That the fact if they're celebrating a birthday on the day of mourning, you know, like, and people will talk over stuff like that. But anyways, on her birthday, wasn't like, her being born wasn't the only thing that happened that day. So in Lisbon, Portugal, there was actually an earthquake, a devastating earthquake that actually hit Lisbon, Portugal, and it actually resulted in 30,000 deaths that day, and it was one of the worst European earthquakes in history, even still today. On that day, the Queen and King, Mariana Victoria of Spain, and Jose the Reformer, who were actually going to be now Marie's new godparents on her mother's side, and they actually took her birth as a very bad omen of luck. And literally when she was coming, like the second she came out, but while they're riding into their carriage and everything, their palace collapsed because due to the earthquake, the second she was coming out. And then short after her birth, she was put in the care of governess of the imperial children, because, you know, if you know anything about royalty, they don't really take care of their own children because they're too busy, especially during that time. They were too busy trying to rule a kingdom, take care of all the things that they need to do, and the last thing on their mind was actually like watching over children all day long. And if you were a parent, you know what that means, and you wish probably you could hand off your kid to somebody all day long and not even have to worry about them. And her name is Countess de Baroness. I will put it on the screen because I'm not completely sure if I pronounced that right. She's actually the wet nurse for her brother Ferdinand and her sister Maria Carolina. And she took over care of Marie so that Maria Theresa could go back to government. And during this, decisions also passed the de regarde procedures to establish a household for Marie. Marie Theresa, her mother, had to go into court because of her birth. She had to go into court right after and establish that Marie was a princess, technically an archduchess is what they call it, but that she was a princess now, and they had to establish that so she would be able to have a household of her own. And Maria Theresa had to do this for every single child. I'm pretty sure every ruler during this time had to do that whenever their child was born too. But yeah, so Maria Theresa had to go do that in government. So Countess de Baroness had to take over and watch her. Maria Theresa trusted her because she already took care of two of her other children. Obviously she's going to take good care of the third. So, and then when she was 7, she met Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and she was actually 2 months older than him. At the age of 10, Maria could not write correctly in either German, French, or Italian, which was common to be used in the courts of Austria, especially during that time, because those are all countries surrounding Austria and they were allies with Austria. Under the teachings of Christopher Golk, I think is how you pronounce his name, she became a good musician. She actually learned how to play the harp, the harpsichord, and the flute. And she was known to have a beautiful voice for singing, and it actually was put on display during family gatherings. So like Christmas, Thanksgiving, any type of parties, she would be singing or she would be playing an instrument as well. She was also known to be a great dancer. She had a quote, acquiesced pose while dancing. In late 1768, Louis XV, he actually dispatched Matthew Jacques de Vermond, who was actually the teacher of Louis XVI, who was his grandson, and taught every other child that was in Versailles, if you will. Louis XV, he sent Matthew to begin tutoring Marie to become Louis XVI's future wife, and because he heard that she was uneducated and even at the age of 13, so he was like, you know what, Matthew, you go on to Austria, brother, because we want to make this marriage happen later, a little bit later on. So you're gonna go teach her. I know you're a good teacher. I know you're an excellent teacher. So I trust you, and I'm gonna send you off and go help her, because it was very important for her to have good writing skills, especially if she was going to be a part of French royalty, any type of royalty. If she's gonna have to be in government, she's got to know how to write, obviously, and especially she needed to know those 3 languages. And Matthew, he stated that he found her more intelligent than previously been supposed by others, along with her character, and her heart was excellent. So she was very sweet. She was actually smarter than people thought. And especially when he was teaching her, he realized, what are other people talking about? She's actually really smart. Maybe she had a learning difficulty and she had to be taught like a different way, because I mean, me personally, I have to be taught a different way than other people. I'm more visual than anything, including my fiance, he's more visual. My brain just works a different way, and maybe Marie was actually the same way. Maybe she just had a learning difficulty and needed to be shown differently than other people. After the 7 Years' War and diplomatic revolution of 1756, Maria Theresa, her mother, she decided to end the feud with King Louis XV, which had been a long time enemy of her. There were so many wars during that time, especially the 7 Years' War, which I can go into later on. I can do a whole video if you guys would like that. Later on, I do plan to do a separate video for the French Revolution, and I plan to speak on that later, just not in this video or these videos, because I know specifically doing the video about Maria is going to be long. But anyways, that's not about in this video. Let's continue talking about Marie Antoinette. So Maria Theresa and Louis XV, they commonly desired to destroy any ambitions of Great Britain and Prussia, especially during this time, because Prussia was nowadays Germany, and Great Britain, we already know, both are very, very strong, war-driven countries who want to conquer anything and everything they can. If they want to get more land, they will do it. They will make war about anything, honestly. Marie and Louis XV made a peaceful treaty between them on February 7th of 1770 for the alliance of marriage for Louis and Marie Antoinette. On April 19th, Marie, at the age of 15, gave up her rights to the kingdom in Vienna to marry the 16-year-old Louis XVI, which at this time was known as the Dauphin of France. So she was the Archduchess of Austria. He was the Dauphin of France. With Marie marrying Louis, made her the Dauphine of France. So now she was next in line with him to take over the kingdom of France. So Ferdinand, her brother, he stood in for Louis XVI during their wedding, and after this, Marie was sent off to France to meet her now husband. And on May 14th is when Marie actually met Louis on the edge of the Campagna forest. In this moment of her meeting Louis, she adopted the name that we know her by today. She became not Marie Antoinette. She became Marie Antoinette. So I know probably some of y'all were probably thinking, why is her name Marie Antoinette Josephine Genet? I thought her name was Marie Antoinette. This is when that happens. This is when that changes. So then Marie and Louis, their official wedding, it took place on May 16th, so 2 days later, in 1770, in the Palace of Versailles. And it ended in the ritual bedding. So, if you don't know what the ritual bedding means, it means it is when royal newlyweds have to establish consummation of their marriage, and the ritual of bedding is where friends, family, neighbors even will bring them to the bedroom that they will be sleeping in after consummation. But they will place them, they will get them dressed, put them in their night clothes and everything, and place them into the bed, and will even stand there sometimes to confirm that, you know, the marriage was actually consummated or not, because, you know, it's a big thing during that time. In their case, everybody actually stepped out afterward. Marie and Louis didn't technically consummate their marriage until 7 years later, which, because of this. So since you know, consummating marriages back in the day was a whole big deal, and it took them 7 years to do it, during this time, that kind of ruined their reputation a little bit, or harmed it at least. And even after the fact that they were married, most people had mixed feelings about their marriage actually. Marie was personally and liked by regular town people of Paris. Like, she was loved. Like, everybody liked her that had met her or seen her in anything. Commoners freaking loved her. They're like, she's a good one. And she made her first appearance in front of them on June 8th of 1773. So she made her first appearance 3 years later after their marriage. And the second she did that afterwards, everybody was like, fantastic, we love her, she's great, she's gonna be a good queen of France, I tell you that. But the ones who ended up not liking Marie actually were more for petty reasons, just because they didn't want like alliance and merger with Austria at the time. So obviously, because Marie came from Austria, they did not like her, but that was really the only reason, because they couldn't come up with like a better reason, you know. It was just more for petty bullshit, obviously. Okay. Marie actually started to have more issues than just that along the way, because of Louis XV's mistress, Madame de Berry. She had actually political influence over Louis XV, which then she called out. And I'm gonna put it up on the screen because I'm not really completely sure. I know I took French for 3 years, but I don't really know how to say this. But I think it's Étonné Francois the Duke de Choiseul. I think it would be how you pronounce it, if I'm reading it correctly. Obviously, if you know better French than I do, well, you probably do. That's how you say it. And his sister, Beatrix, and she was the Duchess de Gramont. And Beatrix, she was actually one of Marie's ladies-in-waiting. So Beatrix, she was actually going to proceed to be the new Madam of Louis XV in the passing of the one before. Madame Berry took over for Louis XV. And this was when the previous Madame, she actually passed away. Her name was Madame de Pompadour. I think is how you pronounce it. I will put it up on the screen. She was actually the chief mistress to him for many, many years. So along with Madame Berry, hating Beatrix, and the fact Beatrix was actually Marie's lady-in-waiting, Madame Berry was like, oh no. So she saw Beatrix obviously as direct competition to her succession of becoming the Madame to Louis XV. And she hated Antoine Francois, as well as being the one to actually help Marie get in with Louis XV. And Madame Barry was like, y'all got me fucked up. She was like, y'all got me fucked up, and y'all don't think I'm gonna do some stuff. Watch me, is what she basically said. And especially like with Antoine, he was actually the chief minister to Louis XV, so that's why he had like a big part in, you know, making Marie and Louis happen. So Marie, along with everyone else, actually refused Madame Barry during this time, which she didn't realize this, but because of her doing this, actually jeopardized Austria's like advances into French court, because everybody thought Austria is uninterested, Austria doesn't care, why are they even in the palace, honestly, type thing. And during this, when the fact Maria didn't realize this, I mean, like, the girl's she's 17 years old. How's she supposed to know this, honestly? But because of her doing this, Maria Theresa, she had to have an Austrian ambassador be sent over to France to be in Versailles to keep an eye on Marie and her activities and everything. And she sent messages back and forth about Marie and talking about the fact that, like, she's fucking everything up. She needs to fix this. Talk to Madame Barry, please. It's not helping us fix your issues. This is what you need to do. You're gonna become the queen. You need to deal with your shit. So then, because of Maria Theresa, you know, pushing Marie to talk to Madame Barry and accept her and actually do what she needs to do to help, you know, Austria into the French court, Marie was like, okay, fine. You know, she's 17. She's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. It was actually on New Year's Eve of that same year that, because she talked to Madame Barry was like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for actually recognizing me. Because that's all she wanted. She just wanted somebody, especially, you know, Marie. Marie being the runner-up to the kingdom. She just wanted to be recognized. And so because she did this, Madame Barry squashed all the beef and everything and was like, all right, we're good. That's all I wanted, was just to be recognized, to be acknowledged that I'm here. And then I'm probably gonna be, you know, the mistress to Louis XV for the time being. That's all I wanted. 2 days later, Louis XV, he actually passed. And in doing this, Louis XVI then actually exiled Madame Barry, community of MUA, just to please Marie and her aunts. So her aunts, her ladies in waiting and everything, and Marie herself pushed Louis XVI, which will now just be the only Louis that we talk about, to exile Madame Barry. And on that note, because I know this video is already kind of running a little bit longer, I'm gonna cut it because there's so much more I have to talk about. Like, this is just the beginning. Join me in the second part. I'll link the second part in the description as well. Like I said in the beginning, if you like this makeup video, channel, link, socials, everything down below, socials to this channel and channel link down below. And yeah, so we will continue in the next part, and I hope to see you there.